It's Friday, January 12th, 2007, and you're watching The Ointment. I'm Steve Tatham, and the reviews are in. Today, in honor of John Hancock's birthday, it's National Handwriting Day. Handwriting, kids, is what we used to do to write our names before we had keyboards. It was pretty neat. Yeah, no carpal tunnel, no viruses. Fridays here on the show, we do our weekend review news roundup, but I thought instead today we play a little game. Wednesday, the president gave his address to the nation on his new policy in Iraq, his urge to surge, where he talked about wanting to put 20,000 more troops into Iraq. And let's be kind about this. The reviews were mixed. Let's take a listen to some of these members of Congress.
This speech given last night by this president represents the most dangerous foreign policy blunder in this country since Vietnam, if it's carried out.
I've gone along with the president on this, and I bought into his dream. And at this stage of the game, I don't think it's going to happen.
And those are the Republicans. These are the worst reviews I've heard since the reviews for Gigli, the Ben Affleck, Jennifer Lopez movie of a few years ago, which leads us to today's game. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read you a review, and you're going to guess, was it a review for Bush's speech this past Wednesday, or a review for Gigli? Let's get right to it. The Guardian from the UK calls it a misconceived enterprise. That was for Bush's speech. The Newark Star-Ledger describes it as an utter wreck. That was Gigli. The Independent from the UK calls it a march of folly. That was Bush's policy. The Washington Post says you're walking into a trap. That was Gigli. The New York Times says prolonging it could make a bad ending even worse. That was about Bush's policy. CNN describes it as a huge waste. Gigli. The Chicago Tribune says it is full of pointless random details. That was Gigli. The Beloit Daily News said it's unlikely many Americans came away applauding. That was for Bush's speech. The Australian says it's no cause for celebration. That's for Bush. According to the LA Times, it arrives amidst a public relations tempest. Gigli. The USA Today says what emerges is desperate and occasionally offensive. That was for Gigli. Of course, it could have been for both. That wraps up our quiz. How did you do? If you got none of them right, you're probably just about average. And if you got all of them right, I don't know how you figured out what's going on. Which leads us to this scary thought. Would we really be a whole lot worse off if Ben Affleck were the President of the United States? That wraps up another week here on The Ointment. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Steve Tatham, and that's news. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll catch you on Monday.